Guys, good morning. Matt Haycox here. It is Sunday, the 25th of July. You've not seen me for a couple of weeks. As usual, I am I'm on the boat. I am in my cabin. But I have recorded for the last couple of weeks, last couple of Sundays, but the Wi-Fi wherever I've been has just been so bad I've not been able to upload anything. So I do apologise. Some of you have probably been glad to have not had to see me or listen to me, I'm sure, but I know a few people have been messaging me saying, what's happened to the weekly roundups. So I apologise if not been here. I do still have the content that was filmed for them, so I will get it up because I'd like to think there's some good nuggets in there that you guys can benefit from. But I'm currently in Mallorca. I've been here for a couple of weeks now. Great place. I've not been here since I was a kid. I say kid, 18, 19, 20, something like that. So it's been good to come back, hang out, see some family, friends, and quite a few people from the UK have been here as well. So I've had a few messages from people that I've caught up with. But it's not all social activity. Don't worry, we're going to talk business. Today we're going to talk about how to buy a boat and how not to buy a horse. We're going to talk about culture and business. We're going to talk about relationships, entertaining people, building strong relationships. I've got my dad with me at the moment. My dad and I have been having a few little chats, chinwags about life. He's come out for a week. He's been here for a couple of days. And it's it's quite interesting. I find it interesting for me to talk to him, and I think interesting to share some of this stuff with you guys as well, because whilst we both run businesses, you have business backgrounds, business in our blood. We also have very different views and mentality on things. So it's good to do a bit of sparring, and I'll share with you guys some different insights there. What else? We're going to talk about regret. We're going to talk a lot about regret. We're going to talk about a little pension story that if any of you guys follow me regularly, you'll hear me talk about this kind of stuff time and again. We're going to talk about bank accounts that finally opened some. Finally got some bank accounts open this week. Again, any of you guys who watch or listen to this regularly will have heard my gripes with the mainstream UK banks over the past weeks and months. We're also going to talk about why every investor isn't suitable for you, even if you've got money to give. So yeah, quite a few bits and bobs there. I'm going to try and keep it a little bit shorter than usual, just because the Wi-Fi still isn't mega, and I want to be able to upload this. And some of these previous videos have been like 45, 50 minutes long, an hour long. It's obviously not helping. Matters with the Wi-Fi. But look, let's jump into it. First thing, let's look at my notes in the background. We're going to talk about how to buy a boat and how not to buy a horse. Look, we're not really going to talk about a boat. But I want to use it as an example because everything I talk to you guys about comes from my day-to-day experiences. Real world examples, and as you know, I'm on the boat. I've been living on the boat for the last 2 or 3 months, which I bought earlier this year. And I got a fantastic deal on this boat, in terms of the capital price I paid for it, and what it now stands me in at. And people who come on board, people who know boats, are staggered at how I got that price. I'll always get asked questions about, give me a tip to close every deal, give me a tip to get the best out of to get the best out of a particular situation every time. But the problem in that is that there is no magic trick to get exactly what you want every single time. So when people are looking at me on this with the boat deal now, saying, "Oh my God, you must be such an amazing negotiator. You've got this great deal." The truth is, all of the work in the negotiation is done long before the negotiation ever starts. And by that, what I mean is, all your money is made by building your pipeline at the beginning. And this can be applied to anything. This can be applied to sales prospects, to purchasing prospects, to buying any particular item, to selling any particular item. Trying to get the best out of, not trying to get the best out of, but trying to get what you want in any situation. And what you can never do is make every person do everything that you want them to do. But what you can do is make sure you've got enough prospects in your pipeline to ensure that if somebody says no, the chances are there's enough people in that pipeline that somebody else is going to say yes. Well, look, so let's talk about this boat. Why did I get such a good deal on this boat? I got that deal because I identified, first of all, that I wanted this particular model of boat. This boat's a Leopard 27, it's a 27 metre, circa 88 foot boat. And having looked around, I decided that this was the boat for me. I then went out and I found probably nine different people selling this boat that was in an age range that I was prepared to buy. And I went out to all of those people and I offered them all, literally offered all of them about 50% of what their asking price was. And I went into this negotiation completely unemotional. I knew I was only buying this boat if I got the price that I wanted to get. And if I didn't get it, then fine. I wasn't going to buy a boat this year. I'll move on till next year. I'll wait till next year, and I'll rent for a year, or I'll just won't even bother, whatever. But there was not a chance I was going to be put in a position where I was going to pay something I didn't want to pay. Now, can I guarantee any of those people are going to accept the price that I'm offering them? No, not at all. But what I can do is I can make the odds a lot more in my favour. If I got into this with one person to buy a boat off, and I was completely emotional that this boat was the one that I was going to have, then I haven't got a hope in hell of negotiating. But I've gone in there offering these 9 people 50% of what they were asking for, and I forget the exact numbers, but let's say something like 5 or 6 laughed me out of court and left me out of hand and said, not a chance in the world, it's not even worth us continuing to talk to you. But then the other 2 or 3, they might not have come down to 50%, but they came down to say 70% or 65 or even 80. They gave the indication that they're in the market to talk. I can then take those ones and push harder and harder and harder. And ultimately, that's what I did to get this boat and to get the price that I wanted. But now by the time I've bought this and refurbed it exactly how I want it, the overall price it stands me in at is, literally 60% of the asking price of all the other boats on the market. But I was only able to do that because I put the effort in at the front end and I identified many targets. If I'd rung just one guy who was not particularly motivated to sell, then there's no tricks in the world I can offer him. Short of holding a gun to his head, there's nothing I can get him to do to sell the boat at the price that I want to pay. And at the beginning of this, I said I'm going to tell you how to buy a boat and how not to buy a horse. The other side of my life, as a lot of you guys who know me or follow me know, is my daughter Harley and her passion and obsession with riding. And we're currently buying a new horse for her at the moment. This will be the 3rd horse she's had over the last couple of years. And every time we've bought a horse, I've been absolutely bummed on it. For exactly the opposite story to what I'm just telling you about the boat. The boat's my thing. I'll make my own rules and I'll be, like I say, happy to be completely unemotional about it. But with Harley and a horse and Harley's mom, they get emotionally attached to absolutely everything. And I guess as a parent, I know that within reason, I'm going to get her what she wants anyway. So I'm going to always be put in a bad negotiating position. And true story, not on this horse, but on the last horse Harley bought. Her mum rang me up. She said, right, we found a horse that we want to buy. It's amazing. We love it. We've told the guy that we love it and we're going to go and pick it up tomorrow, but I need you to negotiate the price today because you're a good negotiator. And I just sit there and laugh at her. I thought, well, I might be a good negotiator, but I'm not a fucking magician. You've just told the guy you're buying the horse and you're picking it up tomorrow. There's one of one horses. He knows you're completely emotionally attached to it. He's probably going to put the price up. never mind knock the price down. And lo and behold, I went into that conversation unable to knock 1 penny off the price. I personally ride. Again, yeah, I've not really been riding for a couple of years, so anyone who doesn't know me well probably doesn't know about my riding. I play polo. I've got a few horses of my own, but because again, whenever I've bought any of my horses, again, completely unemotionally attached to them, and I go into any negotiation saying, look, if I buy this horse, I don't care. If I don't buy it, I don't care. And if I don't buy this one, there's 10 other ones I want to buy. So again, I get to offer keen prices, wait for the right situation, and don't get it stuck up me. But when I'm buying for Harley, or when Harley's mum's involved, I haven't got a hope in hell. So look, obviously I'll tell you the story in the context of horses and boats, but this applies to everything, absolutely everything. There is no trick at the end of the negotiation that is going to get you exactly what you want. If somebody's interests are not aligned with yours, if somebody's motivation is not in line with what you need it to be, there is nothing in the world you can do. All you can do and all you can control is the effort you put in at the front end. So if you're a sales guy watching this, make sure you fill your pipeline fat with prospects. You want more leads. You want to be making more telephone calls. You want to be having that big fat pipeline. If you're somebody making a purchasing decision, wanting to buy something, make sure you've got options, lots and lots of options. If it's one particular product you want, then go and find lots of suppliers or lots of vendors for that particular product. If you can, even better, find some comparable products, so that if this one isn't the deal you want, the next one is. But that is all. And the reason people don't do it is because it takes effort. That's like everything. You want to ring me for a magic trick. You want to ring me and ask me what can you do at the 11th hour of a negotiation. There is very little, if anything, you can do. But what you can do is put all the effort in at the front end. But the bottom line is people don't want to do it because that is effort. 11th hour negotiating is a magic trick. Putting effort in, picking up the phone time after time after time, and making the calls, that's what people don't want to do. But that is where you're going to have your success, and that is ultimately what's going to get you to buy what you want at the end. And this applies across all of my business areas. I buy properties, but again, I don't care whether I do or don't buy it. I've got I get 10 or 15 leads a day of people who are motivated to sell their property. I'll make the offers I want to make. If they don't take it, if one of them doesn't take it, there's a good chance one of the other 13 or 14 will. And if none of them take it, I don't care. We'll start again tomorrow. When I make loans to people, I've only got a certain amount of money to lend, so I don't care whether I do or don't lend it today. So I'll make the offers on my terms, at my pricing, and if you don't want to accept it, don't accept it. It's not a problem. But I've got a big pipeline of other people who do want to borrow, and that's how I'll get what I want. So take that, apply it to whatever it is you do. Like I say, it's not a magic trick, but it will work every single time. What else can we talk about? Little quick interlude: bank accounts. Anyone who's been listening to these videos regularly knows I'm having big issues with UK banks at the moment. I'm trying to open accounts, trying to get decent quick account opening, customer service, etc. I haven't solved the problem in full. I haven't got a proper banking relationship to go to yet, but we have over the last week or two opened quite a few accounts with TransferWise. I think they just call themselves Wise now. So for any of you guys watching this, listening to this, who want to open a UK bank account for your business, I think they do personal as well, but these problems are particularly around business because the mainstream banks are so shit and so slow. And they'll blame it on KYC or AML or their particular appetite or what side of the bed they got out on this morning. But the bottom line is they're inflexible, they're prehistoric, and they don't do what you need them to do. So whilst we will probably still need to work with someone like that for the kind of bigger picture, in the short term we still need places to put some cash, and the new, more online aggressive platforms who use technology a lot are where we've been concentrating our efforts and getting good results. So if you're struggling, two that we work with, one is Cash Plus, one is TransferWise. Cash Plus, a little bit shitty, a little bit expensive. and there's maximum cash holding limits. I don't think you can have more than 50,000 quid in an account at any one time. That may suit some of you. I know it won't suit others. But transfer wise, much higher limits. But both of these, the process is very easy, and you can have accounts open within the hour, certainly within the day. So give that a whirl. Next, let's talk about culture, staff and culture. In my career, I think one of my biggest gripes and one of my biggest personal failings is the ability to get the staff I want to get them doing the things I want them to do, to develop that culture. I may say, it may be an unrealistic or naive thing, but to make clones of me. And whilst it's something that's always been in the back of my mind, it's been very much in the forefront over the last month or two, because a lot of the books I've been reading for the last month or two have been about big businesses like Amazon, like Apple, like Google, like Netflix. And when if you really drill down into what the CEOs of these businesses hang their success on, obviously whilst there's many factors, your Reid Hoffmans, your Jeff Bezoses, they very much talk about the fact that their staff, their people, their culture is everything about the success that they've had. So it's something that has kind of gone from the back of my mind to the front of my mind, and obviously, as you guys know, I'm always recruiting, always recruiting, because I talk about it on this in this weekly roundup. But something that's now become a future, a current project, and I think something I know I want to make future to my business is culture, is human resources. Is developing that, the team I want, the people I want, the culture I want, and that's not just let's say a politically correct human resources, arty-farty comment, because part of getting the right culture is also getting rid of the wrong people from within it as well. So this isn't me waking up going, oh, tomorrow I'm going to run into the office and buy everyone croissants and pat them on the head because they're such lovely people. Some of this will be about cutting out bad eggs, or not necessarily bad eggs. It could be good people who are just the wrong people for me, or the wrong fit for a particular business. But it's something that's not my skill set. It's something I know that I really want to put effort and time behind, because I really do see the value in how I can't build some of the big businesses I want to build if I haven't got the right people doing it. So working with a friend of mine actually at the moment, who is very experienced human resources, culture change kind of expert, and that is going to be something you're going to be seeing a lot more from me and hearing a lot more of over the coming months. But I think it's something that is, whilst we've all probably know a friend's business or a business we follow on social media that probably does something great culturally and looks strong, I think the vast majority of us, whatever the size of the business, don't put the right time, effort and thought process into culture, and this is something that you can get very right or very wrong, whether you've got 2 or 3 staff, or 200 or 300 staff, or 2,000 or 300 staff. Obviously, the bigger the staffing situation, the more compounded and problematic the situation can be. But it's key, even at the small level. So that's something you're going to be hearing a lot more from me about lately, and I'd love to hear from you guys. What you get right and wrong in your businesses with culture, what your views on the subject are. And like I say, building a great culture is a lot more than serving everyone croissants in the morning and having a ping pong table in the corner of the office. So watch this space. I'm excited to learn a lot about it myself, and to talk to you guys about it too. What else is on the list? Kind of 3 things in one here. I've just been having some breakfast with my dad before I started recording this, and I haven't seen much of him lately over the last 18 months or so, because he's a bit of a corona pussy. I think I had a socially distanced breakfast with him on his birthday or Father's Day last year, and I saw him for my birthday in Barbados over Christmas. But I think this is actually probably only the 3rd time in the last 18 months that we've seen him. feels like he's in the vulnerable category. Anyway, that's by the by. But a couple of the things we were talking about this morning were my dad's asking me actually, why things don't bother me, or how certain things do bother me. And my dad gets very what's the word? He takes everything very much as his problem. So if he's got people around him that he may not like what's going on with them, it winds him up. Or if he's got a particular problem in business or a particular situation in life, and obviously he sees me with probably 1,000 times more things going on, and people around all the time, and problems and situations, and he's saying to me, how much does this bother you and how much does that bother you? And I'm trying to kind of explain to him that to me none of it bothers me in the slightest, because I don't allow anything that isn't going to either create enjoyment or benefit for me, or is necessary to fill my headspace. So if I've got a friend doing something I don't like, or a member of staff doing something I don't like, or whatever it may be, I either deal with it or I ignore it. One of those two things. I'm not going to let it fill my headspace, and interfere with my life. I had a bit of an argument with Harley's mum a couple of days ago, and she's saying, "Oh, you're obviously in a bad mood. You've obviously had a bad week." And I'm flippantly arguing back with her, saying, "Listen, when do I ever have a bad week?" But I guess by that what I mean is I always like to think that 99 times out of 100 I've always got a smile on my face, and I if I might have a bad event in the day, I still try to go to bed smiling. And I just think, I'm telling you this because I think it's so important to let go, or never mind let go, not even take attachment to the things that just don't fucking matter. The person on social media that's winding you up. Why are they winding you up? Why do you give a fuck? Or the person in your life that doesn't really have any bearing on you whatsoever. Cut them out or ignore it, but don't let them win. Not when I say win, it's not like they're trying to potentially do anything bad to you, but don't let that bad energy beat you. That then kind of led us on to another thing that we were talking about, which was I guess regret. And my dad, I'm not going to go into great detail here, but my dad's story is semi-similar to mine in terms of he had a successful business, he made a lot of money, and then he had some bad businesses and the divorce and a few other things which have dramatically impacted on his personal financial situation. And we were sat on the boat, and he was saying to me this morning, I look back and if I hadn't spent this, if I hadn't spent this, I'd have that money now, and if I hadn't spent this, I'd have that money now. And he looks back and said, well, whilst I may have enjoyed it at the time, I'd do anything to have that money back in my life right now. And again, this for me, this kind of ties in with the last comment, the last conversation we were just having, because ultimately, it's gone, it's spent. There is nothing you can do about it. And there's two ways we can look at this, with a negative mindset or with a positive mindset. And this is where I tend to come from, because I look back in my life and I've spent fortunes on so many things that, yes, it'd be lovely to have that money back now, but it's such a pointless hypothetical conversation that you're either better off not thinking about it or thinking about a positive way to look at this. So for example, my dad's looking back saying, oh, but if I hadn't done that, I'd have $5,000 here, and if I hadn't done that, I'd have $10,000 there. And it's kind of, I guess he's got that negative regret within him. I look at I gave my dad a real life example this morning. From about 2006, I was quite heavily buying art that I liked, that I thought had some investment value in it, but in reality, it actually turned out I was getting absolutely spanked on. And I bought, probably bought $400,000, $500,000 worth of art, and it's not worth a penny. I mean, I'm not joking, not worth a fucking bean. And I've got two things I can do. I can sit here now moaning and crying about, can you imagine if I had that $500,000 back in my life now, what would I be doing with it? Or how I look at this, which I honestly believe is true, and this isn't just a game I'm playing in my head, this is what I believe is 100% true. The person I bought all that art from for a while was a friend who introduced me to another guy who I then did phenomenal amounts of business with, who actually helped me out big time when I was down, and helped me grow some of my businesses, which then led to that led to my next businesses and my next relationships. And I honestly believe I wouldn't be here today telling this story, doing the things I do, if it hadn't been for the fact that I'd wasted £500,000 on art. Now, you can say that that's a hypothetical positive spin to put on a story. I would be saying it's a hypothetical negative spin to put on the story, to say, oh well, if I didn't spend that, I'd have it back now. You've spent it, you're never getting it back. So either forget it, or think that if you weren't in that place that day, then you would never have met that person. If you'd never met that person, you'd never have done that thing. And listen, again, anyone that knows me, I'm not into weird and wonderful spiritual stuff. I'm not trying to tell you some crazy spiritual journey, but I'm just saying quite simply that everything we do leads to the next thing, leads to the next thing, leads to the next thing. So try not to moan and try not to regret, because again, you can fill your head with good things, or you can fill your head with bad things, and the more bad things you fill your head with, the more stressed you are, the less productive you are, the less positive you are. So try, really, when there's regret involved, the only person that loses is you. What else? Another quick thing I was talking about with my dad was to do with money as well, was pensions. And again, anyone who listens to me regularly is probably sick to death of hearing this, but I tell it so much because it's so fucking important. When I was a kid, I often used to hear my dad say, I don't have a pension because I have my business. My business is my pension. What do I need to mess around with a pension or an ISA for? And I used to hear that for years and years and years. And as a lot of you guys who know me or listen to me will know, I didn't start investing properly into pensions and ISAs until 5-6 years ago, something like that. And it is one of my biggest personal money mistakes ever, because there's never been a time, no matter how good or bad my businesses have been, that I wouldn't have been able to invest something in a pension, something in an ISA, an amount of money that I would never have even noticed. And if I look at my little pension pot now, it's a sizable sum that's built up over the last 5, 6, 7 years. I'm 40 now. If I'd have been putting into that pension or putting into those ISAs from the time I was 18, I would have been able to do it without feeling any effect really on my day-to-day spending and day-to-day income. And I'd be looking now at a massive figure, but more importantly, that's compounding year on year on year on year. And I say I'm only 40. If I wasn't, by the time it's 50, by the time it's 60, by the time it's 70, that money is enormous. And when I was having the conversation with my dad this morning, I was saying to him, listen, you used to say this, and I actually think it's such a huge mistake. And he turned around and said the same thing. How different it would have been for me if, while I've been running my business, I'd put 25 grand here, 50 grand there, which were sums of money he would have been able to do at that time. That would have probably been a 7-figure pot today. So very, very, very important. It's never ever it's never too late, but the earlier you can start investing and sidelining money in tax efficient manner, the better. And like I say, if you guys are watching this in different countries to the UK, all of your countries that you live in have some kind of tax wrappers, some kind of incentivized investment structures that you can invest in. If you want to talk more about this, DM me, send me an email, or watch some of my other videos. But I thought I'd mention it this morning. And finally, little quickie is really on investors, and why not every investor is necessarily suitable for you. This came up in a video a couple of weeks ago. One of the videos I haven't actually uploaded yet because of the Wi-Fi issues, where I was having a conversation with a friend of mine who was saying that there's a guy that he's trying to get some investment money off, but this particular guy hands all of his dealings over to his lawyer, doesn't really get involved in the commercials himself, asks too many questions, or asks so many questions, doesn't particularly, like the structure that my friend has. And what I was saying to my friend there is, look, unless you are absolutely gagging for this money that you must take off this guy, you need to maybe take a step back and say, is this person right for you? Because look, when you're trying to raise money, yes, you want the money, but money comes with terms, money comes with conditions, and getting into bed with someone in business, it's just like getting into a relationship with someone in real life, and you're going to be working with that person, whether it's day in, day out, or month in, month out, or even just in let's say a arm's length relationship. You're going to have them in your life in some way, shape or form, and if they're an annoyance at the beginning of the situation, they're probably going to be an annoyance in the middle, and if they're a dick at the beginning, they're probably going to be even more of a dick when you've got problems, when they've got shares or they've got some kind of control or shackles over you. And that's not to say that it's necessarily wrong, that's what suits them as the investor, but you need to ask yourself, as the person receiving the money, what is important to you, and is it just the money, or do you want the control or the quality of life, or do you want to be able to sail your own ship, or whatever it may be? And again, and it made me think of it to talk about it, because I've had a particular investor in one of my projects over the last week or so, who was invested, and he's nothing but a moaner, an absolute moaner. And he doesn't like some of the things, the way I've done some of the things I've done. Now look, again, this is, it's not that he's right and I'm wrong, or I'm right and he's wrong, but our interests, not our interests, sorry, let's say our views on things are very, very different. And I'm at a stage, with this guy, where I need to really ask myself the question, is that the kind of person whose money I want? Because okay, yes, I can make a turn on it, but do I want to live my life wondering if I'm going to get a shitty email off him just because he doesn't like the way I've done something? And look, I'm in a fortunate enough position that I can say no. I don't always have to say yes to everybody's money if it comes with terms or a personality I don't like. And I appreciate that some of you guys watching or listening to this may not have that luxury. But I guess going back to what we talked about at the beginning of the video, pipeline, having a big pipeline. If you can find a way to have a big pipeline of investors, of funding sources, of funding solutions, then that will give you more flexibility to take money off the kind of people you want to take it from, as opposed to just having to take money because you need it. And that's it. That is the Sunday morning wrap up on Sunday the 25th of July. Like I say, I apologise that we've not had a bit of consistency over the last couple of weeks, but trying to fix the Wi-Fi situation. Hope you like listening and watching. As always, if you're watching this on YouTube, then you can get the audio version over on Spotify or iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. If you don't follow me on social, please make sure you do. Give me a like, a comment, a review. Send a friend of yours a message telling them that they should check me out. I really appreciate it. It is all I ever ask of you guys. I'll always do my best to bring you my stories, my advice, my tips, and all I want from you guys in return is a nice little comment, a share, or a message. I say a nice little comment. You can send me a bad one if I've done something wrong. Always open to learning. But you can get me at the Matt Haycox, TheMattHaycox. I'm the Matt Haycox on everything: Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, even Snapchat. I look forward to speaking to you again next week, which will be, it's going to be August, isn't it? Is it the 1st of August next week? I can't do the maths, but 1st of August, when it will be the end of my last week in Mallorca, I'll be setting sail to Cannes again. So have a great week, everybody. Hope you've enjoyed listening, watching, and I know there's a few things you can all learn from in there. So have a great end of weekend, and next week, take care.